Pig Research Facility update video. So in this video I'm going to focus in on the farrowing rooms and some updates in that area specifically. I know in the last video I would have gave you the figures for the first half of 2024, and within that I told you our average live born was 15.9. Now in the last 2 to 3 months this has actually increased again, and our average live born at the moment is around 16.5, which is quite high. So in line with that and trying to maintain this high born alive, we've had to be more strategic around using our foster sows and moving piglets around within the farrowing rooms. I know in the pig conference there is a talk on foster sows and nurse sows from Hans Bungard and how they're maintaining that in Denmark, so that'll be quite interesting to listen in on. In a similar vein, our average weaned has increased as well. So for the first half of the year we were 13.6, and in the last 3 months we're now at 14.3. And within that 14.3, we've had some batches where the piglets, or the sows, haven't been on trial, or the trial hasn't been as restrictive, and we've been allowed to be a bit more flexible within the fostering in the farrowing rooms. And because of this, we've actually, for some of those batches, had a 14.5 average weaning, which we were delighted with. Our weaning weights have been holding steady, similar enough to the first half, so 8.5 to 9 kilos average. So some updates. I think previously I would have talked about farrowing room 1 to you, which we're kind of using as a prototype, or a room where we can kind of figure out and look at different types of farrowing house accommodation with a view to future farrowing house accommodation, like crateless accommodation and co-mingling. So over the past year we've had batches in this room where the crates have all been taken out, the sows have farrowed down in a different room and then moved into this room. The sows have weaned out at weaning, and then the piglets have stayed there up until transfer to finishers. The latest batch of sows and piglets have moved in there last week, and we had about 5 sows and 75 odd piglets that moved in. In other batches we've moved these in at about 12 days post farrowing, or 12 days into lactation. But with this batch we decided to try and move a bit closer towards the legislation when it comes to free farrowing and free lactation. So we actually moved this batch in at 6 to 7 days post farrowing. And so far we've seen no ill effects of this early transfer when it comes to mortality within the farrowing room, so we're quite happy with that. We did see a small bit of aggression with the sows on the first day of mixing in comparison to the other batches who've gone into this room. We think it's more based on the parity profile of this batch. So this batch is kind of a mix between parity 2, parity 3, and there's a parity 5 sow, whereas other batches that have gone into this room have been blanket parity 2 or blanket parity 3. The aggression was only there for a few hours, and then they've all settled since, so we're quite happy with this. Another similar vein would be in the service area, an update in that. We would be trying to hit our first service weights of our gilts in around the 165 kilos. But just the way our system has gone recently in trying slotting in new gilts into the different batches, we've actually had to serve 2 or 3 gilts at a higher first service weight. So these gilts were served at about 185 kilos, and this will be something that I'll be kind of earmarking and keeping an eye on those gilts as they move through gestation, have their first farrowing, and if we see any kind of ill effects of that extra weight that they had at first service down the line, or even in their first parity. And then just to add on to that, in the service area, we're just, I suppose, checking in on all our timers and our lights and making sure that everything is working quite well, especially at this time of season. when the darkness is rolling in early in the evening and it's there quite late into the morning time. just to make sure that doesn't have any ill effect on our sows post-weaning coming back around to be served. So that is the update from the Teagasc Research Facility for this month. And just to finish with the upcoming pig conference is in its 30th year this year, and this is taking place on the 22nd of October in the Horse and Jockey in Tipperary and the 23rd of October in Farnham Estate, County Cavan. Both days are starting at 12:30 with a lunch provided first, and then the proceedings will follow. We look forward to seeing you there.